Hi, my name is Bill Hitchcock, and it is Friday, March 20th, 2020 when I'm recording this particular video clip. This is our second in a series of some financial functions that we're using in Excel. And today what we're going to look at is the future value. So with future value, I might use that to do some analysis if I'm going to do some retirement savings. So for example, I want to contribute $3,000 per year for 40 years and hopefully earn 7% annual percentage rate, and find out if I do that, how much money will I have at the end of 40 years. So I'm going to hit Control Home, get up to the top here, and we'll try a few things out. So first thing, let's just change this APR to 0%. Right, so my contributions are going to be equal to what I put in here in cell B4. There's my $3,000, and I'm going to want to copy that all the way down for the 40 years. So before I copy it, I want to use the function F4 key a few times here. I want to do it until I have a $sign in front of the 4. So I've got my 3,000. Let's copy that down. And if I hit end and down to the bottom, let's try going to Home and choose Auto Sum. And it guesses that it wants to sum up everything all the way. And we've got $120,000 that I would have saved if I saved $3,000 times 40 years. All right, so just kind of a raw number there. I'm going to hit Control Home. I want to format all these cells the same, so I've got this at font size 10. Oops, I want to hit Shift, end and down, and I want to format all these cells font size 10 as well. I'll hit Control Home, and you know what, I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit, see if that helps on my video. Alright, next, let's figure out what we're going to earn and what I'll have in the bank. And this kind of depends upon whether or not we contribute at the end of the year or if we contribute at the beginning of the year. So, what I want to do here, where I've got the word end, I can either change that to end or beginning, but I want to make sure that a user has to choose one of those two values. So what I'll do is in that cell, I'm going to go to the Data tab and choose Data Validation. And Data Validation lets you put in some settings, an input message, and an error alert. So I'll start out with my settings, and I want to allow a list, in this case, where I'm going to put in either the word end, which is most common, or type in a comma, the word beginning. And for now, I'm just going to hit OK. And when I do that, I get a drop down, and it gives me either end or beginning. All right, now to make this a little bit more user-friendly, if I go back to data validation, I'm going to put an input message. I'll just say choose when to contribute. And my input message is, when will you contribute the money, the end or beginning of the period? And a question mark. Alright, for the error alert, I told you this is your only choice. It's either at the end or it's at the beginning. You don't have anything else. So we're going to leave this as stop, prevent them from doing it. Otherwise, there is a warning, there is information. But in this case, sorry, those are the only choices. And we'll tell them in the title, choose end or beginning. And my error message says you must choose either end or beginning. And we'll hit OK. And then now we've got a little pop-up box that tells us choose when we want to contribute. When will we contribute to the money? At the beginning or at the end? I choose this, either beginning or end. And that works fairly nice. I want to do it in the middle. And if I type in the word middle, it gives me my error message. So it says, hey, let's retry this. Okay, I'll type in end and hit enter. And we've got that. All right, so if I do this in the end, the first contribution, we don't earn any interest on it. So what I'll do is I'm going to type in equals if parenthesis if this cell D5 equals the word end, then my interest is 0. But if it's not D5, we might decide that we want to have some APR on it. So in this case, the interest is going to be what I contributed times what interest I earned. And in this case, it's 0%. So we'll type in a 0, or a parenthesis, and we've got my interest earned. And let's format that with a dollar format. Get rid of the cents. And let's test out a few things. Let's say that we earn 5% interest. And if we contribute it at the beginning, I earned 5% of $3,000, which is $150. Let's try maybe 10%, for instance, and there's $300. All right? So change it back to 5%. We've got that. All right, in the bank. At the beginning, all we have in the bank is our contribution plus any interest that we might have earned. I now have $3,150 in. If we wait until the end of the year to contribute it, I've just got the $3,000 in. So that looks pretty good for the first payment. All right, for my second payment, again, kind of the same thing. It depends on when we're actually earning this interest. If we're making this payment at the beginning or at the end. So we'll do another equals if, parenthesis. My logical test is if D5, but this time, because I'm going to be copying this formula down, I always want to reference D5. If that equals the word end, I want to take whatever I had in the bank times my interest rate, and I'm going to function F for that. Otherwise, what I'll do is, if it's at the beginning, I'm going to earn interest on what I had in the bank plus what I contributed, and then multiply that out. So we'll take a parenthesis, what I had in the bank, plus what I contribute, times my interest rate, function of 4 a couple of times, hit enter, and I get $150. Let's format this with my format painter, and we've got that. So now in the bank, what I should have is equals to what I had in the bank plus what I contributed plus what I earn in interest. So after just 2 years, I've got $6,150 in the bank. Let's copy this down all the way to the end, and slowly but surely you'll see that what I've got in the bank is starting to increase, and instead of just my $120,000, I've actually got $362,000. So what I want to do is I want to copy over this sum. What I contributed was that. I earned an interest, all that interest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the contribution plus what I earned in interest and check to see indeed that those two numbers match. All right, here's the shortcut. We can use a future value function. So the future value function is this, equals FV, parenthesis. The rate is my interest rate, the number of periods, how many years we're going to put this in for, and the payment is the $3,000. Type in a parenthesis, hit enter. It shows it as a negative value. So I want to put a minus in front of this, so it shows it as a positive value, and I also want to get rid of the cents, so I'm just going to format that. There's my $362,399, which matches with what we computed ourselves. All right, now to finally test this out, we want to find out what happens at the beginning. What happens if I put that money in on January 1st rather than waiting until December 31st? So we change it to beginning, and my totals here say actually I earned $380,000, but my future value didn't change. Well, that's because we've got to modify this function a little bit. So what I'm going to modify this function is I've got the future value, the rate, the number of periods, the payment, the present value, and the type. All right. The present value is, we're assuming it's 0. We don't start with any money. But then we've got the type is either 0 at the end of the period or 1 at the beginning of the period. So what I need to do here is add a nested function. So I'm going to say if, parenthesis, if cell D5 equals the word end, I want to use a 1, but if it doesn't, in other words it's beginning, we use a 0. Type in a parenthesis, hit enter, and oops, I think I reversed it. If it's the end, I want to use a 0. If it's anything else, we want a 1, and I hit enter. There's my $380,519, matches what I have here. So let's try just a couple other things and see how this is working out. Let's put this here at the bottom so you can kind of see what these numbers are. Let's find out what happens if we put in $4,000 and we've got 507. If I earn a little bit more, say we earn 6%, we can see that my interest is going up. If we change this to 0%, it's just what you contribute. So obviously you're hoping for a big return on your investment. That's going to help you. Other things that we can do with it, we can decide again if you're contributing at the beginning or the end. Usually, as I said, it's going to be at the end of the year, because if you think of it, say you get a job at the beginning of the year, you start something new, you can't contribute right away. So you'll do it after you've earned some money, and that would be the end of the year. So let's leave that as at the end. And let's do our data what if analysis, and I'll do goal seek, and I want to set the future value to 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, $1 million, and I want to change how much I'm going to contribute. Hit OK, and it churns through, it finds a solution for us, and I've got to invest roughly $6,462 if I think I can really earn a 6% return on my investment. That's always a big if, but it's quickly how we can do some different things for some simple retirement planning. All right, let me save this. And our last financial function that we're going to be working on next will be the net present value. We can do a few things with that one, but hopefully this one with the future value gives you a few ideas on how to use financial functions like this.